So I've completed the whole Bridgerton series, and I figured I'd just do a quick video saying how I personally rank them. Now, the thing to note is that this is just my personal feelings and opinions. It's okay if we don't agree. No hate to you, and please don't hate on me for just having a different opinion. I just thought I'd talk about it. I'm going to try to stay as spoiler free as possible and talk about things in more vague terms. And like I said, this is based entirely on my feelings. So there's like, especially once we get to the top two, objectively I think one book is better. However, my favorite is a different book. I'll get into that when we get there. So my least favorite, number 8 for the Bridgerton books, would be To Sir Philip with Love, Eloise's Story, because Sir Philip is basically a wet blanket of a man. He kind of sucks. His motivations are terrible, and unfortunately, it just never really gets better. Like, he's not the worst guy ever, and I appreciated the fact that he was different. He was not a rake. I was like, wow, finally. But his motivations are terrible, and like I said, he just never really, I don't feel like he grows as a person. I feel like Eloise is the one who has to change, and not necessarily for the better. So I just don't care for this book. I know a lot of fans feel the same way. I hope Show Eloise gets a better ending. I already think that Show Sir Philip seems better. I think it has potential. We'll see what happens there. I think I see what Julia Quinn wanted to go for with him. I think she wanted to go for the whole he is quiet and socially awkward while she is loud and like super outgoing. But you can do that, but also have the guy not suck. All right, so my next one, I guess, would be number 7, would be The Duke and I, Daphne's story. I I just think it's a little bland, and Daphne's actions are, as we all know, extremely questionable. Not really comfortable with what she does to Simon in the book, even though I also sympathize with her as a character. I do have sympathy for her, but what happens is horrible. So I just, it's fine. It's just, I think it's kind of, it's the beginning of the story. It's a little flat in my opinion. And, especially if you read this book after watching the show, you're going to be like, wow, there's really not much to this, because it's literally only their story, and even then the show added in more elements to it. So it's fine, just not super thrilling to me personally. So the next one I would do, and this is probably going to be a wildly unpopular opinion, my number 6 would be The Viscount Who Loved Me. Obviously, this is going to be an unpopular opinion because season 2 just came out. People love Kate and Anthony. And I know this is one of the most popular of the books, too. I just feel like I don't really care for how Anthony is. I love Kate. No problems with Kate. But I don't really care for Anthony. I don't like how he behaves on their wedding night. And he's overall kind of pushy. And like, there's another kiss that is really questionable in it that I don't really care for. And the whole setup for how they become engaged in the book is rather silly. I do enjoy one particular part of it, which is Portia Featherington. Hilarious, but nevertheless, I just, I'm sorry, I don't particularly care for it. I think I actually prefer season 2, but that's a long discussion to get into because I have issues with season 2 as well. So, this would be my number 6. Number 5, for me, again, I don't know, I'm already being defensive, and I highly doubt anybody's actually, I don't know if many people are even going to watch this video, nevertheless attack me. So, okay, number 5, I would put in An Offer from a Gentleman. Now, this is Benedict's story. I love Sophie, and I actually do for the most part like Benedict, but he also suffers from that pushiness and just not taking no for an answer, which I don't care for. But overall, I really like this one, and I also, part of what I don't like about this one is I find the end of it a little weird. Like, it's a little like, how historically accurate is this? Like, I don't know. It gets a little out there, in my opinion. But overall, I did enjoy it. I do like both characters. I like the build up for it. I'm a sucker for a Cinderella story. I just, don't have any super strong opinions because, again, Benedict, I think, is better than some of the other gentlemen in the series, but he's also kind of, he still suffers from that pushiness, which I don't appreciate. For number 4, I would say it's In His Kiss, Hyacinth's story. I really like Hyacinth. She might be my favorite of the sisters, to be honest. I appreciate how she's a very sassy, strong personality, while also being, but she's not obnoxious in my opinion. I think she's just stubborn and bullheaded, but like, yeah, not obnoxious. I appreciate her. I like how she thinks, and I like that she stands up for what she wants, but she's not obnoxious. She's not a jerk about it. Gareth, on the other hand, I could take him or leave him. He's another rake with daddy issues. No offense, Julia Quinn. Probably could have thought of something a little more original. I mean. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this one, and I like the fact that there's a little mystery element built in, and it's very different than the other books, which I appreciate. Like, I think that's a good thing that they start to get different at the end. You'll notice that I actually prefer the later books to the earlier books for the most part. So my number 3 would be On the Way to the Wedding, which is Gregory's Story. I actually really loved this one. I was so surprised. So many people don't like this one. I'm wondering if it's that they really don't like it or that they just don't get to it, because it is the last book. But I loved it. I really, really like Lucy. She's a very distinct and interesting character with a distinct personality, being that she's very particular, logical, neat, and I loved her friendship with her best friend Hermione. I thought that was great. And I like Gregory. He's a very different character compared to the other men. Decidedly the least rakey, and he's actually a good guy too. I really liked that. My only issue with this one was the end suffers from the same thing where it gets kind of squirrely, in my opinion. Kind of like An Offer from Gentlemen. I mentioned that when I first read this book, so. But overall, really, really enjoy it. So my number 2, and this is a little weird because I think this is honestly, like, if I were trying to be objective about the whole thing, the best book. Again, that's still an opinion because you can't judge a book like that. You can't, like, be like, this is the factual rating. But nevertheless, my number 2 is When He Was Wicked, because, oh my, this one is good. The spiciest and the hardest hitting. Like, Francesca's story is sad. She goes through a lot. She's very different than all of the other Bridgertons, being that she's a quiet introvert. And Michael, the merry rake, is, I'm not a rake girl. I'm not into them, but Michael's different. And yeah, the best dirty talker, for sure. Good stuff. I just think that this one's the hardest hitting, and I don't think that's necessarily why I think it's so good, but I do think it helps, and I just thought it was a great story and lovable characters. I have no really negative things to say about this one. It's great. So obviously that leaves my number 1, which is Romancing Mr. Bridgerton, because I love Colin and Penelope. They're my favorite characters, especially Penelope. And we're not going to get into Show Penelope. I actually still really like Show Penelope too. Popular or unpopular opinion. Like, she's a very divisive character on the show. In the books, I think she is a lot less of a divisive character. I think she's very lovable and very relatable for a lot of people reading the books, which is why she's my favorite. And I'm just like, get your man, girl. You deserve it. And Colin in the books is very funny, likable. He's not a full rake, but he has some roguish tendencies, but he's great. And I'm getting interrupted by a dog. I just think that it's a very great story. I love the steamy scenes in that one the most. And I like the overall plot of it too. I like that a lot of it is them versus, well, at least the latter half is them versus a problem, which I appreciate. I like that with a lot of the couples when it's them versus a problem instead of an internal conflict. Because that can get old, you know, when characters are constantly, it's just like, just be happy. And I mean, I know. Obviously, depression, etc., doesn't work that way. But sometimes the characters are purposely making themselves miserable, and you're just like, you could just let that go. They have, like, they need to just get over it. Sorry, I should just cut that out. It's just painful when the problem is a character's own, they're fighting with themselves, and I think that can be a great conflict, but sometimes it can also be frustrating when you just want to shake them and be like, come on, like, it's okay, you just need therapy. But anyway, like I was saying, this one's my personal favorite. I wish we'd gotten a mirror scene. Come on, Julia. But all in all, I really do enjoy the books. I don't think they're, I'm going to guess they're not the end all and be all of romance. I can't wait to get into more Regency romance novels. I have plans. It'll probably be a bit before I actually start reading them all, because there's a lot that I want to read. But while I'm sure lots of other people have their opinions, I figured I'd share mine, whether you want them or not. So I hope everyone is doing well. Bye!